Hello, this is Gary at Jack Raven Bushcraft. Thank you for watching our video. So previously I've done a couple of videos around bow drilling. So there's one around the component parts of a bow drill set, so, different materials that you can use to construct a bow drill set, different approaches to it, and then I did a video on how to make up a set. So this is what we ended up with. Sycamore, you can see actually since I did the video I've had a couple of little plays around with it. So what I wanted to look at this time was posture and technique. So essentially bow drilling is, or to be successful at bow drilling, assuming that your materials are good, you need to focus on your posture and technique. So when I'm teaching bow drilling to students, I will tell them at the start of the first session that the focus is on their posture and on their technique. Because if you get those things right, then the inevitable outcome is that you produce an ember. Whereas if your focus is on producing an ember, then you're likely to forget about your posture, you're likely to forget about your technique. So just think about that, getting your posture right, getting your technique right. I would just add one other thing into that. For me at least, with bow drilling, I think you need to feel calm and you need to feel relaxed. So calm is in your mind and relaxed is in your body. While you're learning bow drilling, there will be times when you don't feel calm and you don't feel relaxed. When that happens, stop for 5 minutes, make yourself a cup of tea, get yourself together, and then have another go at it. But remember, stay calm, stay relaxed. So in terms of posture, what I'm going to describe is what works for me, but I'm going to suggest it's probably a good starting point for you also. The secret of this is going to be to find the spot where you feel comfortable. We're all slightly different, we're different heights and widths, and our arms are different lengths and our legs are different lengths and all of these things. So essentially everybody's body is a little bit different. So what works for me is going to be more or less what works for you, but you're going to have to just tweak that slightly. And it's those little tweaks that by and large are going to be the key part to you being able to routinely, consistently get an ember. So often, again, when I'm teaching for bow drilling, I talk about the amalgamation of minor gains. So if you've not heard of this was something that the Team GB cycling team implemented, and basically everybody in the team was asked to improve their performance by 1%. And when you added all of those 1% together, then GB cycling team went out and did extremely well. So I'm not making a direct comparison between these things, but what I'm suggesting is that with bow drilling there are lots and lots and lots of little things that have to be right for you to be able to successfully, consistently achieve an ember. And as I said, it's just finding those little things and tweaking those little things. That's the journey that you have to go through. Sometimes it can be a little bit painful, and just to reiterate, those times when you are feeling frustrated, when you're maybe not as calm and relaxed as you should be, that's the time to just step back from it for a few minutes and sort of relax into it. So these small things that I'm talking about, the first one of those small things is going to be around finding a piece of level ground. So first up, we've got the board needs to sit more or less on level ground. So just imagine if the ground was a bit lumpy, then it's going to wobble around like this. So your powder is just going to end up dispersing. So you need to find some ground where your board is just going to sit there nice and straight, and it isn't going to rock about, it isn't going to move. Similarly, I want to find a piece of ground that is more or less level for me to kneel on. So for instance, if the ground was sloping downhill, well, I'm probably likely to find myself in this position which means my spindle is always going to have a tendency to go that way and then kind of ping out the back. Whereas if I was pointing uphill, then I'm probably going to have a tendency to be like this, and my spindle can pop out that way. Similarly, if I was on that kind of an angle and I was having to lean over, that's going to be troublesome. Similarly, if I was leaning that way. So just try to find yourself a little bit of level ground. Once you've done that, we need to get ourselves kind of set up, ready to go. So I'm a right-hander, so I'm going to put my right knee on the ground and my left foot on the hearthboard. I tend to go with more or less the ball of my foot on the hearthboard. I know some people that will go more with the arch of their foot. Whatever's going to be comfortable for you, really. But as I say, I do prefer to put the sort of ball of my foot down. You want to try to get this front leg more or less vertically, and that's going to change. Yeah, this angle is going to change by moving this knee, the back knee. So if I move it there, that way, you can see it's changed the angle. Similarly, if I bring it right in that way, it's changed the angle. So I just need to bring my back knee out so that my front leg is more or less vertical here. This back knee, if I was sort of right in behind my foot, it's a little bit sort of tricky on your balance. Whereas if I've got my knee right out here, it's a big gap, and I'm going to have to end up bowing more sideways than sort of straight on. So I go with something like that. So there's just a little bit of a gap down there. I've got my foot in pretty close to where the drill is going to go. And then so for this arm, this is going to hold my bearing block. This is going to come around my left leg here, around the outside of it, and then my watch strap, so my wrist there, is going to sit in against my shin, so it's locked in against my leg. And this is an important component of this. So if my arm's out here, it's kind of going to wobble around like this all over the place. So get your hand locked in. In terms of holding the bearing block, what I want to try to achieve is the feeling that the end of the drill is stuck kind of right in the center of my hand. So I'm going to get it like that kind of thing, like so. Now if I'm holding the bearing block off to one end and the drill's like that, it's going to be hard to keep it still. Similarly, if I've got my hand that way, it's going to be hard to keep it still. So bearing block, center of your hand, so the drill sits more or less like that. So this arm, so my bowing arm, I want to try to get the sort of feeling of a soldier marching. So it's this kind of movement. So all coming from the shoulder. This is a nice fluid motion. Shoulder is also a very strong muscle, whereas this would be a boxer jabbing. So less fluidity with the movements. It's more jerky. It's a stop-start thing going on here. It's also putting all the work onto your bicep. So your arm is going to basically tire that much quicker. So try to make sure you get it from the movement coming from your shoulder. So what I need to do now, in fact, is I need to get this bedded in. I need to start a new hole on it. So what I'm going to do is just take my drill and my knife. I'm going to offer it up here onto the piece of wood, and I'm just going to put that about sort of 5 or 6 millimeters from the edge of the board. So about 7 mil or so from the edge of the board. So I tend to use my knife just to be able to gauge that, and then what I can do is just tilt that over, put the tip of the knife where the center of the drill was, and now give that a rough mark out. And now I could just make that hole a little bit bigger. So to make a little hole here now, I could hold it in my hand like that. That would be a sort of a risky thing to do. It'd be really easy to stab myself. So instead, what I'm going to do is just put my foot on the end like so, and now I could just use my knife to get a bit of a hole good there. So it just needs to be deep enough for my spindle to sit in. I'm going to pop a twig under here. The board was, yeah, that's better. Now it's sitting even. So if I just get myself set up, right, so this is me more or less in the right position. Now I'm going to hold my bow at the slightly wider end, so down here like that, to string it, so to get the spindle in. Oh, it is. Hold the bow in my left hand, but it's, you can see it's across onto the right hand side of my body. I'm just going to pop the spindle through over the top, put the bow under my arm, and then I can twist it like so. And put my spindle in position, get my bearing block there, and now I'm going to start drilling. So all I'm doing at this stage is trying to get a bit of a hole going so I can then mark out my notch where that's going to sit. So I'm just going to take it easy for this part. There's no need to be putting in too much effort at this stage. So people often ask me how deep do you need to drill the hole at this stage. It's not so much about the depth of it, it's about getting a hole that is the same diameter as your spindle. Whoops. Now, I'm just going to pop that down. This is the bottom end of it. I need to keep dry, so I'm going to put that like so, just to keep it off the ground. And I'm not sure if you can see on the camera, the ground is slightly damp here. What I could do as well at this stage is just take a little look at the powder. I can get a bit of a clue about this set and how it's likely to perform. Although we call this powder, hopefully what you can see, it sort of implies that it's going to be granular, that it's going to be round, whereas what's actually forming here are little fibres that are more like the bristles after you've had a shave. So they're definitely longer than they are across, so maybe like a little grain of rice. And we can also see the colour, so it's coming out nice and black, so it's at least suggestive that this is as a board this is worth continuing with. What I'm now going to do is mark out my notch. Now I'm just going to draw it on with a pencil this time, just so that we can see what's going on. Once you've done a couple of these, you probably won't need to. So I'm just going to draw a set of kind of almost like crosshairs through here. So the kind of thing you would get on a telescopic sight, that sort of thing. So like that, and then I can divide that into two. So I've got a 90-degree notch there. And then I'll divide that in half again. So I've got a 45-degree notch marked on there. So I've marked that out at 45 degrees. The other way to do it is just to use the tip of your knife. The tip of a standard bushcraft knife is more or less 45 degrees. So I've marked out my notch, now I need to carve it out. What I've found best to do, the easiest way to do this, is to put the knife on the corner and push. So I'm pushing with my left thumb, and then go to the bottom of it, so the bottom corner, push, and then into the centre and push. Turn it around, go to the other side, corner, corner, centre, and then I'm just going to keep swapping that back. So corner, corner, center, turn it around, corner, corner, center, corner, corner, center. I'm just going to carry on with my notch. As I do so, I just want to mention the importance of your knife skills on this. So clearly, the more competent you are with your knife, for one thing, the quicker this will be, but for another, the more accurate you're going to be. It's important when you do this that you get the notch to go into the center of the hole. If your notch ends up off center, so for instance if it was over here, what's likely to happen is the powder is just going to build up around the top. If your notch doesn't go in far enough, then again it's like the powder is likely to form around the top of your notch. So just trying to get it into the middle there is going to be important. It's also going to be important to get the sides of your notch to be straight. If and by that I mean without having little bits of wood in the way to stop the powder dropping down into your notch as you're going along. So of course this is something that you can just practice at home. You can do this in your living room. Just sit there with a piece of wood and just practice carving away on these notches. So I'm just going to go in just a little further, not quite into the center there. So there's our notch. As I say, the tip of a knife is about 45 degrees, so it kind of helps you along on that. Now, need to resharpen my spindle. Just get this taper nice and long on the end. Like this. So I do go with a long taper on the end of my spindle. But this is because we want the friction to be down this end. We want as little friction as possible at the top. So what I found is this nice long taper reduces that friction down. So, like that also. I'm just going to get myself set up again here. Get this on a bit of level ground. So get my no, I think I was there. That must be it. Alright, so this time of course I need to put my ember pan underneath there just to gather any powder as it forms. So back into that same posture. Left arm coming around, watch wrapped in against my arm, against my leg, and now I can kind of go again. That squeaking noise sometimes means that the string's not tight enough. So I'm just pinching it a little bit now with my thumb on my right hand. So this is basically a two-stage process. Initially, I'm looking at getting my notch filled up with powder, which is by and large there now. I've got some smoke coming out. So now what I need to do is generate a little bit of heat, the second stage, to get an ember to form. So I'm just going to ease off a little bit on the downward pressure and just go for a few seconds, just a little bit faster. Right, so move that out of the way. I'm just going to get my hand in there. I'm just giving it a waft. Just get some oxygen to it. You notice nothing else has moved. I haven't moved my legs or anything like that. So now I'm going to very gently take my foot off, and then I'm just going to get my knife, pop it down the side here, and very, very carefully just going to move the hearth board out of the way. So it's continued to smoke, so that's a good thing. It's actually quite a still day today. If it was really windy, then I'd probably have to be a little bit more cautious with this. But as it's still, I'm just going to give it a really gentle waft there. What you don't want to do is start blowing on it. If you blow on it, there's a good chance you're going to blow the thing out. So we're getting a little bit of red glowing going on in there now. So I've got my tinder bundle already prepared. I did a video a couple of months ago on tinder bundles, so take a look at that. Always bring your tinder bundle to the ember rather than taking your ember to the tinder bundle. It might not be a big chance, a big risk, but there's always the chance that you could drop this as you're taking it to your tinder bundle. So bring the tinder bundle along, put it next to your ember. What I'm going to do now is put this like so, and I'm going to use my knife and very, very gently I'm going to slide this into my tinder bundle. And I'm doing it gently because I want that to stay in one piece. Like so. So it's in there, it is still smoking. So now I'm going to just give it a few gentle, tentative breaths. So you might be able to see there, I'm breathing quite gently on it, but it's a long, gentle breath. So rather than going like candles on a birthday cake, well, it's likely to have the same effect. I would blow it out. So you can see lots of smoke coming out now. So it won't be just another couple of breaths or so, and I should imagine this will ignite. Like so. So now I just need to kneel down and put this on the floor. Like so, just turn it upside down. And we're good to go. So hopefully guys that's been useful for you. I'm likely to do another video at some point in the future on fault finding when you're bow drilling, so to make sure you don't miss out on that one, then please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Take care and stay safe.